week in the opening round of the playoffs. And I told you off mic, man, last year when Martinsburg played them up at Wheeling Island Stadium, that's one of the first things that jumped out to me, too. This was a very big and physical type of football team, and that gives them a chance in any game that they play. Now, they've played Huntington throughout the course of this regular season. There's a rivalry with those teams not too far apart, and so that makes this an intriguing matchup.
And what makes Huntington, I mean, you look at a 7 seed, usually you don't see a 7 seed as one of those teams that people look at and go, man, they could really make a run at this. They could be one of those teams that could knock off the top 2 undefeated teams in AAA. What is it about this Huntington team that makes them so good, yet only coming in at 8-3 this week, but 7-3 going into the postseason?
Athletes. They are a team that, like Capital, will be very athletic. So they've got a lot of different weapons, starting at quarterback. The young man is a pretty decent quarterback, but mostly he's a great athlete. He can throw the ball well, but he runs even better. And then he's got weapons outside that he can get the football to, and they can break big plays. And so, when you look at Huntington, they're in that same vein. Now, Huntington's record may not be where they'd like it to be because they have been beat up. One of the things that I've been reading all season long as I look at Huntington and their scores and football in the southern part of the state, they've battled with a bunch of injuries. So how healthy they are going into this one may help to determine how it goes against Spring Valley. Spring Valley and Huntington during the course of the regular season, they met in the final week, and it was Huntington who fell to Spring Valley 28-16, so they kept it close in that one.
Tight ball game there. All right, that's one half of the bracket. We have 2 games down, 2 to go. We will talk about them and both those games, including Eastern Panhandle teams, or featuring Eastern Panhandle teams, the game tonight and then the Martinsburg game tomorrow. We will break those down a little bit more after our first break. Matt, stick around. We'll be back after this first break.
Of the year is upon us, the holiday season, and it all starts with Thanksgiving. It's the season when our hearts become a little kinder. Our days are filled with thoughts of family and friends. Time to reflect on the joys we have every day. Panhandle Printing and Design would like to take this time to thank you, our customers, for making this past year one of the best we've ever had. Panhandle Printing and Design will be closed this Thanksgiving weekend so that our employees can spend this festive time with their loved ones. So enjoy the holiday, and may you and yours have the happiest Thanksgiving ever. And remember to be safe this holiday season so you can enjoy many more. That's the wish to all of you, from all of us. Happy Thanksgiving from Panhandle Printing and Design, 124 North Maple Avenue in Martinsburg. Call 304-267-7400 or find them online.
Hi, I'm Philip McCoy. Ameriprise Financial has been serving and supporting this community for decades. We believe that every dream is personal and needs a personal plan. That's why you can count on the Mirius Group, a private wealth advisory practice of Ameriprise Financial Services, to understand your unique needs and goals. Whether you want to make the most of the money you have, save for a comfortable retirement, or plan to leave a legacy, the Mirius Group can help you realize your dreams of today and tomorrow. Call the Mirius Group at 304-263-4343. Our office is located at 1270 Winchester Avenue, Martinsburg, West Virginia.
Ameriprise Financial Services Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. L.A. Roberts is Berkeley County's oldest jeweler, where every season is new and exciting. In fact, new is old school to us, and though it's nothing new, our old traditions like exceptional service, quality, and value maintain L.A. Roberts Jewelers as the old master among so many new kids on the block. Whether you're a newcomer or part of the old guard, entrust all your fine jewelry needs to L.A. Roberts, Old World Jewelers for a new age, in historic downtown Martinsburg. Fire off this season with Sunfire Energy Solutions. When it comes to gas, wood, and pellet fireplaces, stoves, and inserts, we've got it all. Quadrifire, Harmon, Heat and Glow, Vermont Castings, and much more. Come by and see the 3,000 square foot showroom located in downtown Martinsburg with hundreds of outdoor amenities to choose from. Are you already dreading the expected heating bill increases? We can help. Sunfire Energy Solutions is your total energy experts. Find out more on Facebook and sunfireenergysolutions.com or stop by the showroom today. It's the Class AAA High School Football Playoffs. It's a quarterfinal matchup as the number 9 seeded Parkersburg Big Reds visit the defending champion number 1 Martinsburg Bulldogs.
To the tailback, Dwayne Grantham, and off the left side of the line, he'll follow those blockers into the end zone for the Martinsburg Bulldog touchdown.
It's live coverage from Coburn Field. Kickoff at 1:30. Pregame at 12:30. Catch the play-by-play with Matt Miller and Big Holmes on Talk Radio WRNR and TV 10, your local leader in talk, news, sports.
Welcome back into Miller time on this cold and already pitch black Friday night. Still getting used to that daylight savings time. Matt Crawford here with you in studio. Matt Miller out at Cardinal Field on the campus of Spring Mills High School, getting ready to call the Musselman game. Again, Musselman's playoff game against Ripley got moved to Spring Mills. So if you were planning on heading out there and did not know that, don't drive to Inwood, drive to the other end of the county and make sure you're in Spring Mills to watch that one. We highly encourage you to get out there and watch that game. Nothing like playoff football live, but if you can't, we have just about every which way you can watch it and or listen to it. We'll have that game on TV 10, WRNR TV on YouTube. We will also have it on our radio dials, AM 740, FM 106.5. I do believe our FM is back up and running. Have to confirm that. We were having some issues earlier in the day. And you can listen to that on our website or our WRNR Talk Radio app. Well, Matt Miller and I broke down one half of the bracket for this quarterfinal round in AAA before the break. Now, let's look at the other side with 2 Eastern Panhandle schools battling to make it to the state semifinals. Matt, which one do you want to start with, the game we got tonight or the Martinsburg game tomorrow?
Let's start with the game we got tonight.
All right, let's do it. Musselman and Ripley. Before the one thing about this 9-1 Ripley team, you look at a 9-1 Ripley team and go, man, they're a 5 seed? That's awful low for a 9-1 team, but you look at it and their strength of schedule, not exactly the toughest.
And that's the issue, that, while they've won 9 games, they didn't get a lot of bonus points, and as a result, they didn't get very high in the rankings for that 9-1 record. In fact, they're the lowest seeded 9-1 team at number 5. You look back through their schedule, and they've played only a couple of playoff teams. Parkersburg South, they opened the season with a 27-7 loss against the Patriots, a team that Hedgesville took out of the playoffs last week in the opening round. And their other playoff opponent was Greenbrier East. They got a 2-point win in the regular season over the Spartans, 28-26. And then last weekend, they were able to take them out by a final of 43-15. So they saw Greenbrier East a second time. So this matchup against Musselman will be intriguing tonight and will certainly give a little better indication maybe of just how good this Ripley team is.
And it's also going to give an indication of how good this Musselman team is. Musselman finally got over the hump this year and they won a playoff game in the first round, something they hadn't done in a little while. And obviously it's good for this team to get over the hump. But as the number 4 team in the state, you're expected to get to the semifinal round. And although you're playing a 5 seed, obviously the strength of schedule for both these teams, that Musselman is clearly favored in this game. So I think if Musselman were to come out and fall in this game, which I'm not expecting them to, I do expect Musselman to come away with this victory. But I think this would be a tough one to swallow for the Applemen.
Yeah, again, they are the favored team. You look at their schedule and say this has been a tough schedule this year for Musselman. They opened with Spring Mills, a team that ultimately closed strong with back-to-back wins to close the regular season and make it into the playoffs. They went to Morgantown, faced a Mohegan team that advanced into the postseason, scored a tight win against Hedgesville, who's playing in the quarterfinal round coming up tomorrow. They played at Wheeling Park and won a shootout in that matchup. Wheeling Park was the 8th seed as they lost just this past weekend to Parkersburg, who's going to be at Martinsburg tomorrow. Then you got that matchup against Martinsburg, and then into the postseason, the win against John Marshall, and now a tough test against Ripley. So I think this has been a Musselman team that has faced challenges throughout the year. They clearly have them ready to go for this matchup tonight.
And Musselman not only coming in prepared because of their regular season schedule, which I'm going to sound like a broken record, they came in as the most prepared because of how many different ways they won games in the regular season. but they come in prepared after their first playoff game because of how similar Ripley is to the style of football they're going to play offensively to John Marshall, and that's something that Coach Brian Thomas talked about. So I think that gives them an added bonus because I'm not sure how similar Greenbrier East was to Musselman.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the thing that Musselman can do that has helped them throughout the course of the year and will hopefully help them tonight is they've been a dual threat type of team. You know, you go back to last week, and John Marshall, they were going to run the ball right at you. And if you could stop their run or at least slow it down, which Musselman clearly did, then they really didn't have much that they could do offensively. And as a result, Musselman gets a 60-14 victory. When you look at what the Applemen did, they ran the ball, and they were able to blend in that passing game as Trey Beard, the starting quarterback, ran for 4 and threw for 4 touchdowns. And so if Musselman can get that diverse offense going tonight, it could be a tough one for Ripley.
Before we move on to the Martinsburg-Parkersburg game, Ripley, one of the 3 teams that entered this year's playoffs, not making the playoffs last year. In fact, hadn't made the playoffs since 2009. This would be a huge win for their program. If they could go from not making the playoffs for 9 years and then were able to this year make it into the semifinals.
Well, you look at this Ripley program as a whole, and let's go all the way back to 2002. Ripley finished 10-2, so they were 9-1 going into the postseason in 2002. They scored an opening round victory. That one against Buchanan Upshur, 26-14, but then lost in the quarterfinal round at Riverside, 47-14. 7 years it would take them before they would get back into the postseason. In 2009, they went into that playoff at 8-2. They scored a win at Nicholas County, an upset, 21-14, but then lost in that quarterfinal round at Brooke, 34-14. So they finished 9-3, and now, boom, 9 years later, they're back in the playoffs. And they're right back where they've been each time, the quarterfinal round. So, yes, for Ripley to be able to get a win and advance to that semifinal would certainly be a big mark for the program.
Should be a fun game tonight. Our pregame following Miller time. That'll start right around 6:30. All right, tomorrow, 1:30, game we'll have right here. Pregame starting really at 12 with an abbreviated Miller time at 12 and the official pregame at 12:30. Kickoff at 1. Martinsburg hosting the Parkersburg Big Red in a game that is historic for the Martinsburg Bulldogs.
Historic?
Or at least has some history to it. Maybe not historic.
I was going to say, it's still historic because it would be their 40th consecutive win as they continue to add to that total. It would be yet another win at home. I think it's 56 in a row against West Virginia opponents at Coburn Field if they can get that win. So there are plenty of streaks like that. But it's also a game that, you know, the Bulldogs would like to win, and just from a history standpoint, as Martinsburg's first ever appearance in the state championship game back in 2001 came against the Parkersburg Big Reds and turned out to be a pretty good game, but in the end, Parkersburg got the victory.
Martinsburg coming off again that 35-0 win last week, and as good as this offense has been playing, the team is well-rounded. The defense playing just as good, if not better, in some instances.
The defense for Martinsburg has been outstanding. The starting defense is giving up only about 6 points a game, and as a whole, from the second team defense to the offense giving up maybe a turnover that has led to points and or special teams points that have occurred, Martinsburg still only given up a little better than 8 points a game. And so you look at the defense that has pitched 6 shutouts in their last 9 playoff games, and over their last 4 games have given up just a field goal and have shutouts in the others. I mean, this defense is certainly playing well.
Should be a fun one tomorrow. Again, kickoff at 1:30. Our pregame beginning at 12:30 with an abbreviated Miller time from 12 to 12:30. All right, we gotta get in our bottom of the hour break, some weather and NBC Sports update, then we'll come back and hear from some more high school coaches. That's coming up next on Miller Time.
CBS News Update. He still calls it a witch hunt, but President Trump says he has answered the written questions he received from investigators for Russia Special Counsel Robert Mueller.
It didn't take very long to do them, and they were my answers. I don't need lawyers to do that. Now, you need lawyers for submittal. You need lawyers to go over some of the answers. but they're not very difficult questions.
Mr. Trump spoke to reporters in the Oval Office. He suggested Mueller, who's looking into Russia's 2016 election meddling and possible ties between Russia and the Trump campaign, was out to catch him in a so-called perjury trap.
I was asked a series of questions. I've answered them very easily. Very easily. I'm sure they're tricked up because, they like to catch people. Gee, was the weather sunny or was it rainy?
The president said he's been a bit busy and has not yet sent his answers to the Mueller team. He did not say when that would happen. CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
Temperatures dropping back through the 30s this evening, below freezing, especially for the late night. Keep an eye out for some icy patches on some of the roads after all the snowmelt that we've had going on. We look at temperatures back up to the middle 40s for the daytime tomorrow with lots of Saturday sunshine. And then for Sunday, skies become cloudier, but it's still mild with highs in the middle 40s, nighttime lows near freezing. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
When you or a loved one needs medical attention, but the thought of spending several hours in a waiting room makes you feel even worse, did you know at WVU Medicine Urgent Care Centers you can get in line before you leave the house? WVU Urgent Care's online scheduling allows you to wait more comfortably at home or wherever is convenient. Simply visit our website at uhpurgentcare.com and select an arrival time. WVU Medicine Urgent Care with 3 convenient locations in Charlestown, Inwood, and now open in Spring Mills.
Are you looking for a full-service web design company right here in the Eastern Panhandle? Then look no further than Pro Design LLC, specializing in web design and development, web hosting, and application development. Pro Design is a locally owned company serving local clients since 1997 with a reputation of quality, creativity, and personal touch. Let Pro Design build or redesign your dream website. Find them online at professionaldesign.com or phone 304-676-9940.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
It's a Football Friday. I'm Jeff Biggs, and in NFL news on this Friday, good news for the Steelers. No Le'Veon Bell, no problem, as James Conner has been cleared and will play on Sunday in Jacksonville. Rookie Lamar Jackson was back at practice in Baltimore, but no Joe Flacco, who is still out with a hip injury. Sammy Watkins, he practiced yesterday in Kansas City, but not today, as he continues to try to come back from a foot injury with the big game Monday night against his former team, the LA Rams. And Dalvin Cook will be good to go for the Sunday night showdown on NBC against the first-place Bears. There is college football tonight with number 25 Boise State at New Mexico. Friday night in the NBA features the second meeting of the season between the Celtics and the Raptors, this time in Boston. Jimmy Butler will make his home debut in Philly, and the Knicks are in New Orleans to take on the Pelicans. I'm Jeff Biggs, NBC Sports Radio.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Amy. Did you know the Honda Dream Deal sales event is literally happening right now?
Literally?
Where you can literally get great deals on certified pre-owned Hondas.
I don't trust that word anymore ever since my friend Claire told me her neighbor literally lost his marbles when he just figuratively did. Or the time my coworker Jerry told me he could literally eat 1,000 burritos at lunch.
Well, that's literally impossible. But there is literally a Honda Dream Deal sales event happening right now.
I want to believe you, but I've been literally too many times before. Like when my Aunt Janet said a made-for-TV movie was literally the best movie ever made.
Sounds like the people in your life don't know how to use the word literally. But I do.
Because you're telling me the Honda Dream Deal sales event is literally happening right now?
Yes, and Honda is KBB.com's 2018 Best Value brand. Seriously.
Okay, you've convinced me.
Now's the time to get a great deal on a certified pre-owned Honda at your local Honda dealer.
Miller Honda, south of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 brand image awards from Kelley Blue Book, visit kbb.com for information.
.35 on this Friday night. We welcome you back into Miller Time. Happy weekend for those of you getting off at the 5 o'clock hour. Enjoy the weekend. A lot of people had the day off yesterday, so kind of an extended weekend. Can't imagine work was too hectic on this Friday. We appreciate you tuning in and hope you can tune in the rest of the night as, again, we have high school football. It's Musselman hosting Ripley in Spring Mills. Yes, that is weird to say, and yes, we'll say it a lot tonight, but again, the game in Spring Mills, 7:30 kickoff, 6:30 pregame, right here on Talk Radio WRNR on our AM, FM, app, website, or if you want to watch it, WRNR TV on YouTube, or the best way to watch it, TV 10 on Comcast Cable Channel 10 in Berkeley and Jefferson County. Well, Mr. Miller, it is the bottom of the hour, so that can only mean one thing.
I'm ready.
You ready? Should I hit the music?
Go for it.
Time to take a look at what's going on tomorrow in sports history. Take a look at the 17th of November. The first bicycle race ever. Englishman James Moore wins it. It was a 13K race around Paris, and that is in 1869.
Was that the big front-wheeled?
I hope so, and I wish there was video. 1884, good year. Cops arrest boxer John L. Sullivan in his second round for being cruel in boxing.
So, during the fight?
During the fight. Awful strange.
Step in and arrest him during the fight.
The point is to knock the other guy unconscious, right?
At least I thought that's what it was.
Maybe those weren't the rules of boxing back in 1884. Let's go to 1900, the 5th Iron Bowl. Auburn beats Alabama 53-5 in Montgomery. Let's scroll down to 1940. The Green Bay Packers become the first NFL team to travel by plane. That's a fun one.
The plane ride home was not fun last night from Seattle.
Yeah, no, not so much after blowing a big lead on Thursday Night Football. 1953, the St. Louis Browns officially become the Baltimore Baseball Club, otherwise known as the Baltimore Orioles. 1956, Syracuse fullback Jim Brown scores an NCAA record of 43 points in one game against Colgate.
Wow, that's impressive.
Extremely impressive. And we'll do... All right, I got to do this one for you. We'll finish with this one, just because you're not here to defend yourself. In 1985, on tomorrow's date in sports history, the 17th of November, the New York Jets have the best offensive production in the history of their franchise, beating your Tampa Bay Buccaneers 62-28.
What year was that again?
1985. So the Jets weren't even good.
And the Bucs were even worse.
That's sad.
Hey, there have been some lean years as a Buc fan.
You take away the 60s, the Jets have never been good.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
Wow. You are brutal tonight.
I'm sorry. All right, we'll do one more so we don't have to end on me insulting your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 1997, the great Mario Lemieux enters the NHL Hall of Fame. Is that a little more fun-spirited to end on?
There it is.
Yeah, all right, we'll end on that one.
A little better.
That is something you can talk about at your barbecues tomorrow night, tomorrow Saturday night, or tomorrow at the Martinsburg game. Again, that game tomorrow afternoon at 1:30, but that is what's going on tomorrow in sports history. All right, promised you before the bottom of the hour break that we would talk with some high school football coaches. And let's get it started with the game tomorrow. Let's get it started with Martinsburg head coach David Walker. Matt, you had a chance to go down on Wednesday this week due to the weather and talk to him and some players. Lead us into this one.
Well, an opportunity just to talk about what he saw from his team in a 35-0 win against Hurricane, a final score that surprised some folks, including a lot of Martinsburg fans who went, "What's up with the Bulldogs? They didn't score enough." So I asked him, what did he think of the performance?
Hey, we got a victory, and I was really pleased with it. I thought defensively we played, really well, just consistent like we have been. Offensively, at times, I thought we looked good. At times, I thought we didn't look so good. But, you get the victory, and that's the main thing. And I think the funny thing about it is you win by 35, and everyone, acts like, well, you didn't score 60 or 70, so you guys really look terrible. But I'll take 35-0 any day of the week.
You set the bar too high, Coach.
Well, I think we have a lot of people that are spoiled. I think that's the problem, which is fine. I'd rather be on that end of it than on the other end of it. But that being said, going back and looking at the film, a couple turnovers in the red zone, maybe a couple bad play calls on my part. Very easily could have scored 50 points, but hey, I'm pleased with where we're at, and I think we can get better.
Were you surprised when you looked at the numbers at the end of the game that you actually threw for more yards than you ran on a windy day like that?
Yeah, it did kind of catch me off guard. We didn't run the ball great. I thought we, did an effective job of running it when we needed to. The problem is, our field position, we ended up being down there close a few times where it is harder to do things offensively. But, they give credit to Hurricane. They were a lot better than a 16 seed team. I watched, other teams that were rated a little higher than them, and Hurricane really, it was good enough to be a, 10, 11, 12 team easily.
Did they do anything different than maybe you expected as far as, in the trenches up front that maybe threw you off a little bit?
I don't know if anything threw us off. They did some things different defensively than what we thought they were going to do, but it wasn't anything that really, threw us off. I just felt like we probably got a little conservative early because of the wind, and then we opened it up a little bit and got some things, but then once we got to, a certain point, then, we were just trying to get the game over with.
Next up, Parkersburg. You guys have a little bit of history going all the way back to that very first state championship appearance in 2001. How much fun is it to see the Big Reds again?
It's good. I'm glad we're playing somebody different again. They've got a great tradition, a great story. They got a new coach. It's been there a couple of years. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and they got some great players. So it's going to be a big challenge for us.
You mentioned that challenge. What is it that they do? Do you look at them as a dual threat type of team?
Well, offensively, their quarterback throws the ball really well. They got the Division I kid. It's a tight end / receiver. They move him around. They present a lot of different problems for you for what they do formation-wise and what they do. Defensively, they just play really hard. They're physical. They get after it. So, and they do try to outnumber you in areas. So they do, we're going to have to play really well if we're going to have any success against them.
Do you like a game like that, though? You mentioned that physicality. You guys play a pretty physical brand of football as well. Do you think your guys kind of rise to that challenge?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that, anytime your kids are challenged, you want to see how they respond, and we always want to make sure we respond in the right way. So this time of year, it's supposed to be tough. So, we expect a tough challenge. I think they'll come in here ready to play, as they always are, and I'm sure they'll travel real well, and it'll be a great atmosphere.
I know you obviously, scout and plan and prepare, but how much at this time of the year especially is it about yourselves and executing what you guys do as opposed to maybe your opponent?
I think it's a combination. I think you can cut down on some things. I think some other things you got to pay a little more attention to. But, for us, it's we always want to make sure we're looking at ourselves and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. But I think a lot of it just depends on how you play. Parkersburg's similar to us with what they do offensively, so I think in that area it'll make it easier for both of us to prepare. But this week I just want to make sure our kids are moving around and that we're trying to get better.
Coach, thank you. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Martinsburg head coach David Walker. And Matt, you got to love that you're coming off a 35-0 win in the first round of the playoffs. A lot of coaches, and I'm sure Coach Walker was extremely happy with that win, as you heard there, but taking strides to get better. You got to love that this team has won 39 straight games, 11-0 this season, and they're still trying to get better each week, even into the playoffs.
Well, and the thing is you're in the playoffs, and that means you're playing good football teams. And if you're going to continue to advance, you'll see even better football teams in each given round. So that means you've got to pick up your play from one week to the next to be able to stay competitive and, in Martinsburg's case, stay on top, because they also have that target on their back too. So they're going to get the best shot of everybody that plays them, because everybody says, look, this is our state championship game, because if we're going to get to that state championship game, we got to knock off the team that's won 2 in a row and 6 of the last 8.
All right, there was the Martinsburg man in charge, David Walker. We're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, we'll hear from the head man out in Hedgesville, Eagle head coach Joey Uris. That coming up next after this break. You're listening to Miller Time on Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
There are these rumors floating around about the woman you love. We want to squash those rumors right now, my friend. I'm Lori from Bechtel Jewelers, and the rumor floating around town, yes, I've heard people talking, is that, I hope you're sitting down, the rumor is the woman you love is hard to buy for at Christmas. Do you believe that? The rumor is that you just can't find the gift that gets her all excited, like a little girl on Christmas morning when she opens your gift. The easiest way to squash that rumor is get in here to Bechtel Jewelers for her Christmas gift. She might even have her wish list filled out. And we already know what will push her excited button. Yes, it's so easy to make her eyes about pop out of her head when she sees that little box from Bechtel Jewelers. Let's put an end to those dastardly rumors, my friend. Get in here to Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South, Inwood. Heck, we might just start another rumor, a legend of this amazing man who knows how to love his woman at Christmas.
Get your flu shot at the Berkeley County Health Department, 122 Waverly Court in Martinsburg. Here's Angie Gray.
There's 2 influenza A strains, which is the H1N1 that's been circulating. H3N2 is in the flu vaccine this year. They have adapted it to the circulating strain that was predominant last year. They've increased that to be a better match. Then there's 2 B flu vaccine strains that are in the vaccine. So it's quadrivalent is all that's available this year. There's no more trivalent, so you'll get all 4 of those strains to help be protected with this shot.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
Are you looking for a full-service web design company right here in the Eastern Panhandle? Then look no further than Pro Design LLC, specializing in web design and development, web hosting, and application development. Pro Design is a locally owned company serving local clients since 1997 with a reputation of quality, creativity, and personal touch. Let Pro Design build or redesign your dream website. Find them online at professionaldesign.com or phone 304-676-9940.
Grab a seat at the tables each week with House of Cards. Former Yankee beat writer and author of Dueling with Kings, Daniel Barbarisi.
I was a baseball writer, and how did guys should be so good at this daily fantasy sports baseball thing? And that part I was very, very wrong about.
Scott Ian from Anthrax.
I found a lot of similarities between playing poker and playing guitar.
Director of the House, starring Will Ferrell, Andrew J. Cohen.
You just write a script, and then you make a movie, and it sort of takes care of that anxiety.
Saturdays, 8 a.m. on Talk Radio WRNR, your source for local talk, news, and sports.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time. Another 40 minutes or so until it's time for high school football in the quarterfinal round of the high school football playoffs. All right, we just talked to Martinsburg head coach David Walker. Matt, it's time to take a look a little bit more at that Hedgesville matchup. Again, a tough matchup against Capital this week, but a amazing game last week against Parkersburg South. They fall behind early 21-0. They battle back to go up 28-21. Then, like you said, that the defense could not get that one final stop they needed. They allow Parkersburg South to go down, score a touchdown, and Parkersburg South said, we're going for the win. They get the 2-point conversion. They think they've won it. Maybe not as sharp as they needed to be on that kickoff. And Niger Smith had a run for the Hedgesville record books, going for a touchdown with 9.7 seconds left, and Hedgesville goes on for the 35-29 win. Nothing like getting your first playoff win in a long time in that kind of fashion.
Yeah, since 1997, and so to be able to do that and advance into this quarterfinal round for the first time in a long time, yeah, absolutely amazing. But, that's the type of athlete that Hedgesville has that hopefully will do them well as they play at Capital tomorrow.
All right, you had a chance to talk with Eagle head coach Joey Uris. Lead us in.
Well, I asked him about how they got that win against Parkersburg South on the road last week and how exciting it was.
It was a tale of two halves. We came out in the first half and kind of shot ourselves in the foot like we've been doing all year and turned the ball over in penalties. And, we talked to them at halftime about settling in, playing for each other, and not giving up. And we were able to do some things coming into that second half that we were trying to do in the first half. We just executed it a lot better. And that, goes to credit to up front, our linemen on both sides of the ball. We're playing much better in that second half, and they kind of set the tone for everybody else. And then we had some big plays happen that we hadn't had all year long.
When you get the score tied at 21, what's the mindset now at that point as you've come all the way back?
Just get another stop. We had 7 consecutive defensive stops going into that drive, and Coach Fairclough kept telling me, we're going to stop them, you just score. We're going to stop them, we just score. And they did. They stopped them, and we were fortunate enough to get the ball back. I mean, they had the ball inside their own 10, first and goal, and we stopped them there, and they missed a field goal, and that was kind of huge. I think that set the tone for the remainder of the game anyway, and for us to go down there and score on that very next series, and then to come back out and have a couple penalties hit us, and then they score, and all the adversity in the world, and everybody will ask you the same question, what were you thinking? And honest to God, I was thinking just kick the ball to Nigeria, and I'm very fortunate that they did.
What'd you tell the special teams unit as they're heading out there?
Take it to the house, make a big play for us. One good thing about it is we knew that they were going to squib it, and we knew that we had to get somewhere around the 35 to give Finnegan a chance to make a field goal for us. And so, we told them to take it to the house, but at the same time, we had 2 timeouts to kind of gear towards getting the ball down there to the 30-35 and giving Finnegan a chance at making a field goal to help win the game.
What's the sidelines like when you see Nigeria grab that ball and hit the opening?
It was a huge hole, and to be honest with you, once he hit the 20, it was more about just keeping kids off the field from excitement than anything. And, it's kind of hard not to get excited during that moment in time, and to see those guys tackle Nigeria in the end zone and see those younger kids on the sideline, crying and jumping up and down and hooping and hollering. It just meant a lot to us as a coaching staff to know that 3 years in we've been able to accomplish something that was a big goal.
1997, that last playoff victory. Have you talked much about that, and as you set your goals during the course of this season and reaching where you are right now?
Coach Fairclough told him last year at the end of the year that the standard's been set when it comes to record-wise, and we needed to get that monkey off our back and get that first playoff win. And that was a goal for us. We didn't talk about 1997 or being 21 years until actually Saturday, and the kids were kind of shocked by all of that. But it meant a lot to them, just to see the emotions and how everybody came together there at the end of the game, and then in the locker room goes to say a lot about how these kids are buying into the program and helping us change the culture around here.
Is it hard or easy to kind of roll now into this week, knowing you got a good Capital team ahead, to be able to put an exciting win behind you and now focus?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you go into Lately and go up against a team like Capital, it kind of presents a variety of different problems and stuff that you got to prepare for. But, Coach Walker told me a couple weeks ago that when you get this deep into the playoffs, you got to focus on your guys and what you do. And I think sometimes we get lost in trying to worry about what everybody else is doing instead of what we've been doing. So I've kind of taken that advice to hand and tried to worry about what our guys are doing and what we're doing offensively and, defensively trying to, scheme for them and trying to stop them. But at the end of the day, man, our guys just got to be able to go out and execute what we've been asking them to do.
You mentioned what we've been doing offensively. You put a new quarterback in there this past week. Talk to us about that change and what you saw from Hunter Coe.
Hunter, honestly, probably should have been the quarterback since the beginning of the year, and he went to baseball and decided not to come out till week 4, and that kind of hurt us. And, Owie was rolling and had a lot of chemistry with all the guys that was out there because he'd been there all summer, so you kind of hated taking the ball out of his hands, especially when he was leading the area and passing, and second on our team in rushing yards. So Owie's a young quarterback, and he's going to be very good for our program. But going up against, teams now in the playoffs, we felt that it would be a better option for us to put Owie out at receiver and to let Hunter take the opportunity at quarterback. And it worked out for us. He had a tremendous game. He started out slow, but, I think once his nerves settled in, he was able to sit back there and make some plays for us. And, he did some things for us on Saturday that not many quarterbacks would do. He sat in there and took a pounding and still made some pretty amazing throws.
Talk to us about these Capital Cougars. What do you see in this matchup?
A lot of speed. They got one of the best athletes in the state in Kerry Martin, and one of the best receivers in the state in Chance Knox. Up front, they're huge. They're ginormous. I think they, for once all season, somebody's bigger than our front, which it'll be exciting to see how our guys handle it. They're all excited for the challenge. I think that we just got to be able to go out there and match them step for step and punch for punch and not back down and go right at them. And if we are able to do that, I think we're going to be in good shape at the end of the game. Of course, that all depends on how our guys react to the atmosphere and what Capital brings to the situation. But if we do what we're supposed to do, I think we're going to be fine.
You chose another Saturday afternoon game. Talk to us about the itinerary, travel, and all of that.
Well, it was perfect until we found out we were supposed to get 8 to 12 inches of snow on Thursday. So hopefully that doesn't come through. But we're planning on leaving around 9 o'clock in the morning, go down to Cumberland and eat at D'Autry's, and then we're going to practice at WVU 2 o'clock on Friday. Coach Scott took care of us on that, so I'm pretty excited about that for the kids. Then we'll go down and eat B-dubs, and it kind of worked out perfect for us because Spring Valley and Huntington play Friday night, so we're going to go watch them play and let the kids eat and enjoy themselves while they're down there and kind of watch some football and prepare for hopefully our next opponent.
Coach, safe travels. Bring home another win.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Hedgesville head coach Joey Uris. Sounds like a fun trip for those. Could get into practice at WVU. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting to drive through Frostburg in snow. That's
always an exciting trip. It's a tall task for Hedgesville, no doubt about it. But you like if the entire team has the attitude that Coach Uris does and that he claims that a lot of the team does where they're excited for the challenge. You want your team excited for the challenge, not concerned about what the other team's going to do.
Yeah, that's it. You're not going to back down from anybody. You're going to play your game. You're going to play it to the best of your ability and feel like if you go out and do that, you've got every opportunity to win a game. And if you go in with that type of confidence, win or lose, you're going to do well.
All right, again, that kickoff tomorrow at 1:30. Scoring updates from that one throughout the Martinsburg game, and tune in at halftime. And in the postgame show, I'll have scores from not only that game, from around the Mountain State, AAA, AA, and Single A. All right, Matt, we got about 3 minutes left before the top of the hour. Again, going till 6:30 tonight, and then we will take a minute or two break, then send you back out to Spring Mills. Matt and Vic will have the call tonight. A pregame starting at 6:30, kickoff at 7:30, Musselman and Ripley. Let's talk some college basketball real quick. We can bleed this into the next hour or two, but let's start talking about those WVU Mountaineers. Get the win, and it took a little while for them to get going.
We had a chance to watch that second half. Didn't really get to see much of the first half, but, they did finally get it going and, finally started knocking down some shots and played well on the defensive end. Sagabal Kanate with a couple of big blocks and, after maybe a slow first half, if you will, and even a little bit of a slow start to that second half, eventually the Mountaineers did pull away and, they got the win that you expected them to get.
And, Matt, you said something to me last night that was, I think, strange. It surprised me that you said it this early in the season. You made the statement that you're not sure this team is going to be able to be Press Virginia.
Well, and I'm not sure. Having only seen a half of basketball last night, I don't want to be saying one way or the other, but it was just a comment that came out as we were talking a little bit about what we saw and the fact that a lot of young players on this team, a much different team than it was a year ago, and not everybody is suited to play that style that Bob Huggins likes to play with that moniker that's become Press Virginia. And is this a team that can effectively do that? Maybe by the end of the year they can, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, the important thing is they get win number one on the year. They had to shake off that Buffalo game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They needed to silence the critics a little bit. But again, are you concerned that it took them till 3/4 of the way through the game to really make their statement and jump out to a commanding lead?
May I go back to Martinsburg head football coach David Walker at the beginning of this half hour?
Go for it.
A win is a win.
I get a win is a win. I understand that. But a preseason number 13 team, they just haven't come out the way that I think a lot of people expected them to come out. That's all I'm saying.
But again, I think Coach Huggins, while clearly there's some frustration with it maybe, is understanding where this team is at right now. And, okay, they came out of preseason number 13. They may still end the season being in that top 15 in the country, but we got a long way to go to get there, and that's a lot of time to improve and get better and look like we expect them to look.
All right, 6 o'clock coming up. We're going to take a break. News and weather coming up. Then we'll be back to round out today's Miller Time.
I'm Pam Coulter. President Trump says he's answered the written questions he received from the Russia Special Counsel investigation, but hasn't sent them back yet because he's been a bit busy. CBS's Bill Rakoff.
The president said it was easy to answer the questions put forth by the special counsel.
It didn't take very long to do them, and they were my answers. I don't need lawyers to do that.
Mr. Trump said he believes he still has nothing to worry about regarding the investigation.
The witch hunt, as I call it, should never have taken place. It continues to go on. I imagine it's ending now. From what I hear, it's ending.
Bill Rakoff, CBS News, Washington.
Republican Brian Kemp says Georgia's gubernatorial election is over now that Democrat Stacey Abrams acknowledges she can't win. But Abrams sounded a defiant tone.
This is not a speech of concession, because concession means to acknowledge an action is right, true, or proper. As a woman of conscience and faith, I cannot concede that.
Abrams has called Kemp, the former Georgia Secretary of State, the architect of voter suppression in the state. As firefighters continue to battle fires in the state, California authorities are hoping to shrink the list of more than 600 people still unaccounted for. CBS's Steve Futterman has the latest.
Search crews are once again going through the gruesome task of sifting through the remnants of homes looking for any clue of human remains. At this point, they don't expect to find bodies intact. Instead, they are focusing on things like bone fragments. The crews are working with cadaver dogs. A portable DNA lab has also been brought in.
The first snowfall of the season caused traffic nightmares in New York City, including more than 1,900 accidents and a nearly 20-car pileup on the George Washington Bridge. Mayor Bill de Blasio says there was no time to prepare.
In truth, this was a kind of perfect storm. It emerged bigger and later than anyone expected. Obviously affected the whole tri-state area in a very severe way.
CNN's Jim Acosta is back on the job at the White House after a federal judge, a Trump appointee, ordered the White House to return his hard pass.
I want to thank the judge for the decision he made today, and let's go back to work.
The White House had pulled his pass after he refused to let go of the mic at last week's news conference. Screenwriter William Goldman has died at 87. He won Oscars for All the President's Men and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I never shot anybody before. One hell of a time to tell me.
Stocks were mixed today. The Dow was up 123. NASDAQ fell 11. This is CBS News.
To experience relief from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief Fast-Acting Foam. Get TheraWorks Relief today in the pain relief aisle at your local pharmacy or TheraWorksRelief.com.
It's time. Time to join the millions of people that meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. Zoom gives you flawless video, crystal clear audio, and instant sharing across any mobile, tablet, or desktop device. But the best thing about Zoom? It just works. So ditch the distractions, join the movement, and meet happy with Zoom video conferencing. Visit Zoom.us to set up your free account today. That's Zoom.us. Zoom video conferencing.
A good night's sleep starts with the right pillow. That's where MyPillow comes in, and we're excited to announce the new 4-pack special. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the 4-pack special tab, and save 50% off the 4-pack, which includes 2 MyPillow premiums and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Call 1-800-266-4719. That's 1-800-266-4719. Take advantage of this limited time offer. Go to MyPillow.com now. Click on the 4-pack special tab and use promo code COMFORT at checkout.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. The Rockwell plant in Ranson, which has been the subject of heated debates, has recently been the recipient of multiple threats, violent threats made via social media. Ranson PD's chief wouldn't talk specifics, saying they're still looking into them. Both officials with Rockwell and the group Jefferson County Vision, who opposes Rockwell, denounced the threats. West Virginia's Secretary of State, Mac Warner, announced the appointment of Lexi Brown as field representative for the Eastern Panhandle. Brown comes from the WVSOS Business Hub in Martinsburg, where she served as a business and licensing specialist. She's a graduate of Shepherd University with a degree in sociology. Tomorrow, Bethany Christian Services, in partnership with Burlington Children's Home and Children's Home Society, will be sponsoring a free family event at the New Life Bible Church to encourage the community to learn more about foster care and adoption. The event runs from noon until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm Adam Boardman, Talk Radio WRNR News.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
The melting of the snow of the daytime now leading to some refreezing on some of the roadways through the late night hours. Temperatures dropping back just to below the freezing mark to about 30 degrees. We're looking at highs of around 43 for the daytime tomorrow with lots of sunshine, so the melting gets going once again. And even on Sunday with more clouds than sunshine, temperatures still stay mild at about 45. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
Why Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota in Martinsburg? Because we're a name you can trust. And you can trust that you'll always find a large selection of over 400 new Chevrolets and a wide selection of new Toyotas at unbeatable prices. How unbeatable? Well, we will not be beat on any deal on any new Chevrolet or Toyota. That's right. You will not find a lower price, guaranteed. From Chevy Cruzes, Malibus, Impalas, Equinox, Suburbans, Silverados, to Toyota Yaris, Corollas, Camrys, Avalons, and more. No one beats an Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota deal. And remember to check your mailbox for this month's specials and great savings. Simply put, if you're in the market or will soon be in the market for a new or newer vehicle, check out all that Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota has to offer. We're Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota in Martinsburg, or online at applevalleychevy.com. That's applevalleychevy.com. Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota, a name you can trust.
And welcome back into Miller Time, just past 6 o'clock in the p.m. here on the Eastern Panhandle. 6:30 is our pregame for West Virginia High School playoff football. It's Musselman hosting Ripley out at Spring Mills. Matt, what's the temperature look like out there? I know now that the sun's gone away, I'm sure that mid-40 temperature has dropped drastically.
Well, I'm not able to get into all of the data that I normally would on my phone as we are connected, as I'm kind of listening to the station through my phone. But last I checked, we're right down around 40 to the high 30s, and it is going to be a cold night. I'm sure that field is going to be extremely hard as players are tackled and, dive after plays or the ball. And so it's going to be a night where these players are going to be tested just a little bit. And, we don't think much about it, but I'm watching a handful of folks from Musselman who are really working hard with shovels to get as much of the snow and slush and standing water off the track area, so there will be plenty of room for the Musselman cheerleaders. And down to our right, where one of the main gates is, in which the players can come onto the field, some members of the Musselman band are beginning to try to loosen up and tune up their instruments. And I can only imagine on a cold and damp evening like this evening, it's probably a little hard to get that instrument to play the way you want it to.
Right now, 40 degrees in the Eastern Panhandle. Wind chill down at 32. The low tonight is going to be 30, so that wind chill going to be down in the 20s, maybe even closer to the teens, maybe by the time this one gets in deep to the second half. So going to be a cold one tonight. All right, we were talking WVU basketball before the break. Let's move it to football. A big game for the Mountaineers. They're all big from here on out. They've all been big the entire season with the bullseye that has been on the back of the WVU Mountaineers. And is it getting a little, I don't know if you've read a lot of these interviews or not, or seen, I know you don't have cable, so you don't see as much of the just quick daily sports stuff, but is it getting a little old how little respect WVU is getting in the playoff hunt?
Yes and no. I mean, as a Mountaineer fan, we kind of come to expect it, so it's not necessarily old. It certainly is frustrating. Yeah, I don't understand how conversations come about like, Oklahoma. Basically, all they got to do is, win out, and they've got a chance to be a representative for the Big 12 in the college playoffs. And yet, if the West Virginia Mountaineers do the exact same thing, they're going to have one less game because they lost the game against NC State with the hurricane that blew through. And some seem to think that might make a little bit of a difference as to whether the playoff committee would end up putting them in the playoffs. Look, all West Virginia can do is control what they can control, and that is get this win at Oklahoma State, because the matchup hosting Oklahoma on the night after Thanksgiving, well, it's going to be a big game no matter what. I mean, Oklahoma's coming to town. That's huge. But the game won't have the same implications, won't be quite as huge if you don't get it done on the road this weekend.
All right, so WVU has one less game than everybody else will at the end of the season. But, let's count the Alabama game this week against the Citadel. Or let's count one of the other scrub games this week that another top team is going to have. Let's count Georgia taking on UMass. To me, yes, WVU doesn't have that same amount of games once the end of the season comes around. But is them having one less game any different than number 7 LSU taking on 1-10 Rice this late in the season? Or again, I know the Citadel is 4-5. Good for them. Congratulations. But do you really think Alabama's going to have any issue at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa handling the Citadel? To me, I don't know why that game should mean so much. And when you look at the 2 losses for both of these teams, one for each team, I'm not sure why. I mean, I guess at the time, Texas was 19 when Oklahoma lost, but that was a tight game, and Texas has proven that they're not that good. I mean, they're good, but they're not as good as everybody wants them to be.
And I guess that's the thing. West Virginia is, in their mind's eye, not as good as they want them to be. Do you get any credit for who you would have played? Because you mentioned all of these games that, some big programs are playing against some weak competition. I mean, NC State, they have been in the top 25 up until, a week ago when they suffered a loss. And so, that would have been a nice game for the Mountaineers that, had they won, would certainly have made their resume look good.
That's something that I don't get why it's weighing so heavily on why the Mountaineers are getting very little respect here at the end of the season. And they're the number 9 team in the country. Right now, it's amazing how little respect that they're getting for those same voters thinking, they're good enough to be in the top 10 at number 9 in the country, but they're not nearly going to be good enough to get in those playoffs.
Well, the Big 12 as a whole is not necessarily getting a lot of love this year, and we've seen in years past, since they started this playoff format, that the Big 12 has kind of been the one in the Power 5 conferences, as they call them, to end up being left out in this 4-team format.
Again, you mentioned a tough game tomorrow at Oklahoma State. That'll be a 3:30 kickoff. We will join that game hopefully at kickoff. If not right after, you will have the majority of that game following the Martinsburg game right here tomorrow. Let's hear from Mountaineer head coach Dana Holgerson. This is this week's United Bank playbook. He sat down with the voice of the Mountaineers, Tony Caridi, and they just talked about Oklahoma State.
And it is time for the United Bank Playbook. Tony Caridi along with head coach Dana Holgerson, West Virginia, and the Cowboys of Oklahoma State on Saturday. New defensive coordinator means a new look for this Oklahoma State defense this season. And you've been saying all week long, it's kind of like controlled chaos. Fair assessment?
Yeah, it is, because you just don't know what you're going to get. They're a 4-down team. They got 4 good D linemen now. They all look good, long, lean, big, thick, all that. And they come into the game, you may get just a base 4-2 box, but then they may stand up one of their DNs and put them at middle linebacker. I guess this goes back to Coach Gibson being a trendsetter in college football defensively. It's a stacked defense. They put that defense in right behind him as a Mike linebacker and then move people around and all that stuff. But they're coming from everywhere, and they just try to create confusion from what the looks are and where they're coming from.
Leading the nation in tackles for a loss. They come at you a bunch of different ways. What does that mean the offense has to do here to be careful?
Yeah, we got to ID things the appropriate way to make sure that we got bodies on bodies, and then we got to finish blocks. So, not only are they good with creating confusion as far as where they're lining up, they do a great job of rushing the passer. They got good, big, long, lean bodies that are quick off the ball. Whether it's the D lines or even the linebackers or the second level people with safeties as well. They come off the ball. They do a great job with their hands and pad level and do a good job of getting to the quarterback. So we got to ID it, and then we got to finish block.
Last time you went on the road to Texas, obviously a great emotional victory. I would think that will only help you guys going back out.
I think it'll give us some confidence. We've won in Lubbock. We've won in Austin. So, Stillwater's that type of environment now. We got to be able to handle that, travel the right way, and then handle the crowd. And it's another big 12 game. We got to be ready to go, and I think we will.
Should be fun. Wish you the best.
Appreciate it.
The United Bank playbook, Dana Holgerson and Tony Caridi. Matt, do you see them having any issues with this game? I know it's obviously going to be a tough game, but I don't see the Mountaineers struggling. I think this could very easily be a 2-score or 3-score game.
Oh, and hopefully so. That'll show the focus of this Mountaineer team if they can go and do that, because Oklahoma State, while the record is not there, has certainly been competitive against some of the top teams in the Big 12. And so to play on the road where West Virginia hasn't necessarily played their best, remember that loss at Iowa State earlier in the year, it'll be good to see West Virginia come out and get a big win.
Mountaineers come in 8-1, 6-1 in the Big 12, 2-1 on the road this season. Kickoff again from Stillwater will be at 3:30. We're joining that game after Martinsburg High School football tomorrow. That game again kicking off at 1:30. All right, we got to get in our last break of this Friday edition of Miller Time. We'll include the Mountaineer report, so you'll hear a little bit more about the game tomorrow. Also recap and probably hear some stats about the basketball game last night. One more break to take, then we'll be back to wrap up today's program and today's Miller Time. You're listening to Talk Radio WRNR.
Summertime is finally here. It's complicated, but your finances shouldn't have to be. At BCT, we simplify your financial life. Bank of Charlestown is a locally owned community bank with 7 conveniently located offices serving the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia, Middleburg, Virginia, and their newest office in Hagerstown, Maryland. With over 140 years of experience, BCT is the tri-state area's choice for fast, convenient, and hassle-free banking solutions. Whether you are a high school senior looking for a student checking account, a college graduate purchasing a new car, a first-time home buyer, or investing for retirement, BCT has flexible solutions to fit your lifestyle. BCT is committed to providing everyday ways to simplify your financial life. Also, make sure you are following BCT on Twitter and Instagram at MyBCT or like their Facebook page to see how BCT reinvests local deposits back into the communities they serve. BCT, we simplify your financial life.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A strong second half leads West Virginia's basketball team to its first victory. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics.
When you order your groceries online at Kroger.com or with the Kroger app, you can do your shopping anytime, anywhere, like the gym, the office, or your favorite comfy couch. Plus, when you visit Kroger.com, you can find hundreds of money-saving digital coupons. And whether you place your order on your phone, tablet, or computer, it's still your neighborhood Kroger. So you'll find all the fresh choices, low prices, and great deals you love. And once you've selected your coupons and finished your shopping, you choose a pickup time that fits your schedule. And relax while your order is hand-picked, just the way you like it. Then all you have to do is hop in the car and drive to the store's pickup location. And a friendly Kroger associate will load your specially picked order for you. You don't even have to get out of your vehicle. It's so convenient. Save time. Shop online today at Kroger.com.
The Mountaineers even their record on this young season with a 71-53 victory over the Hawks of Monmouth in the opening round of the Myrtle Beach Invitational. It was a close one at halftime. West Virginia led 36-31. In the second half, West Virginia took control, outscoring Monmouth 35-22. For the game, West Virginia's shooting significantly improved in that second half. After making just 36% of its attempts in the first half, West Virginia shot 54% from the floor in the second half. Good balanced scoring by WVU. 4 Mountaineers finished up with 9 or more points. 2 Mountaineers ended in double figures. Senior Issa Ahmad scored 16 points and had 3 rebounds. Sagaba Kanate collected 14 points, 8 rebounds, and blocked 4 shots. 9 points for James Beetle Bolden, and a 9-point night for freshman Jordan McCabe. McCabe, along with Bolden, keyed West Virginia in the late going of the game to help West Virginia on its way to the victory. On the other side, Monmouth falls now to 0-4 on the season. They're shooting a struggle all night long. After shooting 39% in the opening half, you could see the fatigue set in, and they shot just 30% in the second half of play. Next up now for West Virginia, an opportunity for a second win, and that comes tonight as the Mountaineers take on the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky was victorious in yesterday's opening round against Valparaiso. Final score, 71-53. We join you tonight beginning at 8 o'clock from here in Conway, South Carolina. That is today's Mountaineer Report. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from IMG.
Welcome back into Miller Time. 10 minutes left of today's show. We're going to wrap it up talking some NFL football. Before we do, Matt, we were listening and watching the game last night, and do you buy that Western Kentucky could possibly be favored tonight?
Maybe.
I know very little about Western Kentucky, but that just seems surprising to me.
Maybe based on the way that they played yesterday compared to the way that the Mountaineers played. We'll find out as they go at it tonight. It's so early in the season. Again, we've talked about the Mountaineers still maybe in some ways trying to find themselves. And maybe Western Kentucky's a little ahead of West Virginia in that category. Maybe they're a little older team, more experienced team. That's why you play it, right? Doesn't matter what anybody says beforehand. That's what they're saying after the game.
Yeah, that's why games are not played on paper. Speaking of games being played on paper, if you look on paper and look at the stats, I'm guessing you would think that the Texans are going to beat the Redskins this weekend. What do you think?
You do remember I took the Texans in the pick 'em.
I do remember. I didn't know if you had changed your mind or not, or were leaning a little heavier one way or another. Does it change your opinion if I tell you Trent Williams may play a week or two ahead of schedule?
No, it still doesn't change my opinion, because while it will be good to have him back out there for the Redskins and for you as a Redskins fan, and how much is he close to 100%, or is he 80 to 90%? The defensive front for the Texans is pretty good, and I think they'll put some pressure on Alex Smith and that right now beat-up Redskins offense.
Well, one topic floating around Redskin Park all week, because something that Josh Norman said, we all know Josh Norman likes to hear his own voice and has the tendency to express his feelings. Something he said after the Tampa Bay game was a bit of a shot at the home fans at FedEx Field. Did you read anything into that?
Do I read anything into that?
Did you read anything on that this week? I guess would be a better way to put that question.
No, to be honest, you're bringing it up. I really had not heard a whole lot, which I'm surprised, because I would have figured, if you've got a star or a key player kind of calling out the home fans, that would get a little more attention.
So let me fill you in. Basically, after the Tampa Bay game, he was talking about how good of a crowd it was in Tampa Bay, how good of a Redskin crowd it was in Tampa Bay. And listening to the crowd noise at that game, there was a lot of burgundy and gold there. I will say that. And he made the comment that it'd be nice to have that kind of noise and that kind of support at home. And as a Redskin fan and somebody who's a realistic Redskins fan, I like to think that I'm at least somewhat realistic as a Redskins fan. It's a interesting statement, because while he's right, you should want a home field advantage at home. You also have to look at it with the side of the fans and look at the mediocre product that the Redskins have put on the field, and the still increasing ticket prices and the still increasing concession prices. We talked about at the beginning of the year, the second most expensive stadium to go to is FedEx Field throughout the entire NFL. So it's been, I don't want to say a touchy subject, but an interesting talking point throughout the week with Redskin media and Redskins fans, because both sides, you can see both sides of that argument. Again, with Josh Norman saying, yeah, there needs to be a better home field advantage. You 100% agree as a Redskins fan, but at the same time, you have to look at the fans that don't want to spend that money and go, yeah, I can see why they wouldn't want to spend that money either.
I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you if you have any idea, even if you don't have an exact number, what the Redskins' home record is over the last 3, 4, 5 seasons. But it seems like they have not played as well and not won as much at home, even as they maybe have on the road. So as a fan of the Redskins to shell out the money as you're talking to see a team that's been a middle-of-the-road type of team, and then to look and go, most of those wins have come on the road, not even here, then, yeah, maybe they are going to be like, okay, I'm here, I cheer a little bit, but, I'm not getting too excited because I know what is generally going to happen when they're here.
Going back to your original question and putting me on the spot, thinking about their record, I would think that they're 500. I mean, they're a 500 team. They're not going to be that drastically different home and away, I wouldn't think. Now, again, I don't have those exact numbers in front of me. We did break that down earlier in the year, but I can't remember what exactly those numbers were. But I would guess they're a 500 team, if not a little below 500, to be honest with you. So, again, you can see both sides, and it's come to the point, we talked about this, and anybody who's a Redskins fan has probably heard about this, but at the beginning of the season, the organization finally announced that there was no season ticket waiting list. Now, there hasn't been, but they hadn't exactly been forthright about that and come forward with that information. They did before this season started, and now it's come to the point where to try to entice home fans to come. Looking back to the Cowboys game, they sent future Redskin Ring of Honor member Chris Cooley out to multiple locations around the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, and were giving out Redskin gear and free tickets to the Redskins-Cowboys game. Not if you entered a contest. If you walked up to Chris Cooley, he gave you a pair of Redskin tickets to go to the Redskins-Cowboys game. Josh Norman today was out in the DMV giving out 50 pair of Redskin tickets for the game. That's a struggling franchise that fans are finally saying, all right, we've had enough.
And so where does it go from here? Does Dan Snyder take any of that into consideration? The fact that he's, sending out players, giving away tickets, trying to draw interest? I mean, part of the issue has been ownership and, that, if you will, meddling ownership that wants to be involved in too many facets of the game and ultimately leads to paying players at the end of their career money like they were in the prime of their career. That's maybe put them into a little bit of a hole, and so you keep putting out that product that's been mediocre. And right now, while the record is 6-3, it's not been an overly impressive 6-3, except for maybe you'd say on that defensive side of the football.
Yeah, the Redskins need to be able to put products in the field year in and year out that are going to be competitive, and I think that's what it boils down to. And I think obviously, it's no secret that Dan Snyder wants a new stadium. I think it also would help if when he builds that new stadium, it's a 75,000 person stadium. I know that's not what the NFL has been about with these new stadiums, but I think even if the Redskins have a few good years while they're building that stadium, and with the snap of your fingers, all of a sudden that season ticket waiting list comes back, and it takes years like it used to, at least then you're filling up a 70,000 person stadium or a 75,000 person stadium, and hopefully you're filling it up with Redskins fans. Because being a Redskins fan, and anybody who's listening to the show knows that I grew up going to Redskins games having season tickets. When they get into the playoffs, and when they were in every 6 years, they would make the playoffs and have that one game in the playoffs. That stadium was rocking. The Redskins fans are out there. They haven't given up on the team. It's just a matter of them giving up on spending that much money going to games. So if you could entice them to at least just start coming back out to the games again, I think that's a step in the right direction. But again, that starts with the play on the field and consistency.
That's it. If you put a winning product down on the field, then you will get fans who will be willing to come and to support that team.
1 o'clock kickoff at home. I will be in attendance against the Houston Texans coming up on Sunday, 11 a.m. pregame. You can hear that right here. All right, that's going to do it for Miller Time today and for this week. We appreciate you tuning in. We're going to take a quick commercial break that will feature news and weather. When we come back, Matt, we're coming back out to you. It's high school football. Have a good call tonight, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's Miller Time and today's Miller Time. Again, quick break, and then it's high school football coming up next. This is Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg and Miller Time.
Appalachian Heating and Air Conditioning says,
if you're a hard-working man or woman, you want to get the best selection and value.